Good afternoon, guys. This afternoon I'm going to be cooking the boneless pork loin roast. Pops can't be here this afternoon. I am working back in acute care, and so the responsible thing for us to do to keep him safe is to remain social distanced, to make sure he remains safe. So I'm going to be cooking the pork loin roast. The first thing I'm going to do is open the package, wash it, and put it in this. I have lined my casserole dish with foil, and I'm going to sprinkle liquid smoke over the entire thing and rub it in, and I'm going to let it sit and marinate for 15 minutes. Now, this liquid smoke is really stout, so you just need a little bit of it, but it does give that smoke flavor, if you like the smoke flavor. If not, you could skip this step, but I like the smoke flavor. We like the smoke flavor here, so that's what I'm about to do. Okay, I have my pork loin all washed, and I am going to take a paper towel and dab it dry. Now, this particular pork loin is 5.4 pounds, and that's important because we use the weight to determine the cook time. Okay. All right, so I've got this pretty dry. Set this right here. All right, now I'm just gonna dab a little bit of my liquid smoke. Okay, and I forgot if I didn't mention this, I had let my pork loin sit at room temperature and let it rest for about an hour. And now that I've got the liquid smoke over it, I'm gonna let it rest here for 15 more minutes and let that marinate in. Okay. All right, guys, it's been marinating in the liquid smoke for about 15 minutes, and now I'm gonna add the rest of my seasonings. I have the oven preheating at 500 degrees. All right, I'm gonna season the bottom of it first because we are gonna cook the fat part down. I'm just doing a little salt and pepper. I'm gonna do a little bit of minced onions and of course garlic powder. And I'm going to use some Tony's. I'm layering the seasonings a little thick on the bottom because of the layer of fat. Rub all that in. I do the bottom first. All right, now it's time for the top. We're going to do some salt. And to the top, I'm going to do the white ground pepper. Minced onions. I didn't add too much salt because the Tony's is pretty salty, so all right. Garlic. All right, and I'm just gonna rub this in. Push those minced onions in there. All right, now for the cook time. Like I said earlier, this roast is 5.4 pounds, and so we're gonna multiply that by 5.5, which turns out to be right around 30 minutes. So we are going to cook this at 30 minutes at 500 degrees, and then without opening the oven, I'm just gonna shut the oven off and let it sit for another hour. Okay, so total, all it's gonna cook for about an hour and a half. The first 30 minutes at 500 degrees, cut the oven off and let it sit for another hour. Okay, so that's what I'm gonna do. Okay guys, now that I have my pork loin in the oven at 500 degrees, I wanted to remind everybody to go back and clean your spices. Make sure everything you touch, I have my sanitizing wipes. Go back after you've handled raw meat, wash your hands, sanitize your hands, and go back and sanitize your spices. Just a little tip. Try to minimize the germs as much as possible. All right, that's that. All right, y'all, would you look at how beautiful that is? Look at that. All right, once again, I preheated my oven to 500 degrees and I put my pork loin roast in the oven, uncovered, and I let it cook for 30 minutes. I turned the oven off and I let it sit for an hour in the oven without opening the oven, okay? And make sure you check the internal temperature. Should be about 145 to 150 degrees internal temperature. Now what I'm gonna do is cover it with some Jimbo's barbecue sauce. Just like that. And I'm gonna put it back in the oven for about 10 minutes. Okay guys, all right, I have let it sit in the oven and let the barbecue sauce bake onto it. And now I'm just going to cover it with foil, just like that, and let it rest for 10 to 15 more minutes before I slice it. All right guys, I've let it sit for about 15 minutes and let it rest for about 15 minutes. So now I'm gonna take and put it over onto this platter so I can slice it. And let me get me a fork. Look how pretty that is. And you can cut as thick as you want. I've sliced these into some pretty thick slices. Look how tender. Just delicious. So there you go, barbecue pork loin roast.